Welcome to the Customer Machine Podcast, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston and Yoav Ezer. Glenn is a psychologist and marketer whose companies have sold more than $30 million in consulting and has trained thousands of marketers across different niches and industries. Yoav is a programmer turned marketer whose companies have sold over $5 million in products and services. Together, they'll teach you how to systematically stand out, attract, and convert the best customers, even in brutally competitive markets. And now, here's Glenn and Yoav.
Well, hey, this is the very good Dr. Glenn Livingston, and I'm here with my partner in crime, the evil Yoav Ezer, otherwise known as the Conversion Machine. How are you, Yoav?
Very good this morning, thank you.
Very good.
Very evil.
We've got a treat for you today. You're very evil. Very evil. We've got a treat for you today. We've actually got a young entrepreneur on the line. His name is Daniel Postma. And I'm not entirely sure how I came to know Daniel. All I know is that he kind of showed up on Facebook. And before I knew it, he was laughing at my jokes and I was making jokes on his post. And I really don't spend a lot of time doing that kind of thing. And I've got tens of thousands of people that are trying to get in contact with me. But for some reason, Daniel just won my heart, and I can't help but talk to him and try to help him out and laugh at his jokes. So, Daniel, how are you today?
I'm doing really good. That was a really nice introduction, Glenn.
Sure. And Daniel is the author of a exciting new book called Shadowing a Multimillionaire for 30 Days, Everything That I Learned. And I read through the book, and I was impressed that at 19 years old, are you 19, Daniel?
I'm 20 now.
20 now, okay. Well, maybe that's less impressive then. But
less impressive.
I was really impressed that this kid got it in his head that he wanted to work with a particular multimillionaire, and I guess you must have stalked him in some ways the same way that you stalk me and kind of won his heart. and tell me what happened. How did this all start?
Yeah, so I was just, I always like to try to build businesses and stuff online. Actually, I was interested in video game programming, and there's a creative side of me that loved that. And I actually wanted to be able to make more money with it, and I didn't know how, so I started looking up online marketing. And doing that, I found a couple of cool podcasts. I don't know if you've heard of Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income.
Sure.
But that was one of the ones I was listening to, and there was this guy who came on there named Dane Maxwell, who I thought was he was just seemed really cool, and he talked about this program he was creating for entrepreneurs that would basically, it was a 6-month program that would basically change their lives and give them all the tools they needed to be entrepreneurs for life. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And he had a particular charismatic style of speaking that I really resonated with. So a couple months later, I was in an online program learning how to write a book. And then I found out that the guy who made that program was a student of Dane Maxwell's. And I was like, holy cow. Only I use probably more strong language than holy cow.
Sure.
I was like, that guy trained this guy, and this guy's running this multi-six-figure company teaching people how to publish their first book in 90 days. And this guy, the guy who made that program felt like a giant to me, and Dane had trained him. So I was like, what world? So then I really knew that I wanted to somehow, some way work with Dane, but I didn't really know how it would happen. I was like, okay. So I went to the website and applied. The program was called The Foundation. It's a 6-month program for entrepreneurs. And I looked at the website, and it was just really phenomenal. There were some videos of Dane and his partner in crime, Andy, on there, his business partner. And they seemed so relaxed and having fun in business. I was a little bit playful, and I really liked that. So
suits your personality for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I tried to apply to join the foundation. Their prices weren't listed on there. I was like, I don't know how much it costs, but there's an apply button, which I thought was really, really interesting. You can't just buy the course. They won't let you buy it. You have to apply. which I think is kind of genius. Because then, you are like, oh, I want to get in. How do I get in?
It's a form of reverse proof. People worry a lot about how do I get started if I don't have testimonials or anything like that, but kind of an odd way to prove yourself for the customer is to flip the paradigm and say, well, we are so good that we don't have to prove ourselves to you. You have to prove yourself to us. And it's a really interesting strategy, and it has an impact. Obviously, it had an impact. Go ahead.
Yeah, it had a big impact on me. Yeah,
I know that Dane does have other proof, but I just wanted to highlight the strategy. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think colleges do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I found him. I got into his funnel somehow, meaning I clicked on some buttons and clicked apply and typed in my information. And then he invited me through email to some of his webinars. And I was like, oh. And it was like messages like the foundation is closing in 2 weeks. Like, come listen to these webinars to see if you're ready to make it an impact and change the world or something like that. And I got on one of those webinars, and it was like, I remember it was like 11 p.m. at night. My hair was all messed up like crazy, and I was just watching the webinar because I think I was wearing like pajama pants or something. I think I'm wearing pajama pants right now, actually. And
it's a little too much information, but
too much information.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody.
I'm wearing dirty sweatpants because I just flew back from San Francisco and I didn't have a chance to change. So we're in the
I'm
same
wearing a 3-piece suit. I got ready for this interview. It's not like you guys.
Yoav's the only one that has respect.
I was thinking about dressing up for the interview, and I was like, nah. Oh gosh. So yeah, I got on his thing, and he was so convincing that it was like such a good program, and like everyone in the chat was like typing in like questions and stuff. And he asked if anyone wanted to come on the live chat, and I typed in yes. And then I came on the live chat, and the first thing he did when I got on, he said, Daniel, I think he said, Daniel Postma. He's like, nice to meet you. He's like, would you consider punching yourself in the face? I punched myself in the face. And he was like, what on earth did you do that for? Oh my gosh. He was like, just trying to have fun, but like, I actually punched myself in the face. And he's like, whoa, are you okay?
Oh, no. So you were kind of under the trance. When marketing is a very powerful tool when you know how to do it right, and in part what you're doing is you're casting a spell on the audience, and people become entranced, and they're really looking for, when, especially at a young age, I think people are looking for a leader and someone that they can be like, and they're very open to that kind of influence. I remember my ex-wife was demonstrating the power of leadership, and by pacing and mirroring what people were doing, and also she had been assigned the authoritative position of leader of the group. She had everybody take off their shoes, and then she had them smell them, and then she had them bite them. And she cracked up in them, and she said, I can't believe you all bit your shoes. But people will do that. Authority is a very powerful psychological force, and we're all kind of primed to follow a leader. And when a leader is offering value, it's tremendously useful to be willing to blindly imitate them. And I think when you pick a mentor, that to a certain extent you have to be willing to do that. But by the same token, I think that what you're describing illustrates the power of that spell and how it could go too far. So that's pretty funny.
Totally. It could. And yes, it's just, marketing is basically magic, everybody.
So what happened after that, Daniel?
Well, then we got kind of started talking on a personal level. I asked him a question, like, he was talking about limiting beliefs. I don't know if you've ever heard of such a concept. But I asked him if he had any, and he was like, oh yeah. he was like, I have got a ton. And that made me feel really a lot more connected to him, because it wasn't like he was saying he had all the answers to the universe or whatever. He was like, yeah, I struggle with stuff all the time. He was like, sometimes he's like, right now, even this morning, I was feeling kind of worthless, and like with my parents and my relationship with my parents. And so I was like, oh, this guy's real. That was awesome. And my heart was just like, kind of like you were saying, like a magic spell, kind of like I felt like some kind of like overload to my energetic system. Like I was just like in a trance. Even after we ended the call, like my heart was still pounding. But basically what happened was, on the call, he asked me for what reason would I not join the foundation today, and I said basically, I'm already in this online program learning how to write and publish my first book. At the time, I was trying to write a book about massage therapy because that's what I was studying, and I said I don't really have the funds right now to join, but I would really like to. And maybe 6 months down the road, I'm so excited to join, and I'll be following your stuff and keep watching your podcasts. And he said, Daniel, I think I'd really like to have you in the foundation. What would you say if I paid for your way into the foundation?
Well,
yeah.
So is that what happened?
It was a $5,000 program. Yeah, that's what happened. And one of his assistants said to him something like, that's actually not in the budget, Dane. Like, we have marketing costs to cover, and that wasn't something we planned for. If you planned for it, you could do that. He's like, no, just pay for it on my personal account.
Wow.
And so he did that, and my world melted. I was like, what in the world? So that was how that was the first day I'd ever talked to Dane, and now I'm at his house in Nashville.
The space between you and your dreams is not quite as big as people think, at least between you and the people that you really want to connect with. I've repeatedly found that everybody, because as children we're taught to really idolize and respect our parents, and they're so big and we're so little, we have a capacity for a type of star transference, and so most people will not dare to bridge that gap. But the people who do find that, it's not necessarily easy, but it's nowhere near as hard as you think it is. And I've repeatedly found there were people that were my heroes who, when I decided I would reach out and was persistent about it, they really turned out to be accessible and, guys that put their pants on one leg at a time, and women that put their pants on one leg at a time. And, were willing to have a relationship with me if I could provide value too. So I would say the lesson from there is, don't be scared to go after your heroes if that's what you really want to do. So what happened from there, Daniel? What happened?
Wow. So after that, I next day, I opened up the program. It was a bunch of videos, and also you get put into a weekly mastermind group. And the email actually asked me to lead the group for the first week, and I felt so honored to be leading people I had never met before, and I had read up all exactly how to do it, which was really cool. I was like, why on earth am I being put in a kind of leadership role? For basically, it was once a week, 10 other students and I would get together and talk about our progress through the foundation. I think the first week only 2 other people showed up, and a lot of people didn't want to make that commitment 100%. So it was interesting. But the people that were there were phenomenal, and I'm still best friends with them today. So what happened?
Which is another entrepreneurial lesson, because I can tell you my biggest growth spurts happened when I saw an opportunity that I literally crapped my pants thinking there's no way I could do that. But there's this little part of me that said, say yes anyway. And I said yes anyway, and I found out that what I could do was I could do a lot more than I thought I could do. And I think part of being an entrepreneur is being willing to embrace that anxiety, because there's what you can do, there's what you can't do, and then there's what you can learn to do. and what you can learn to do is much bigger than what you think it is. So it sounds like that's what you did. So he put you in a leadership position, and then what happened?
Yeah. So like on those calls, like people would be talking. My friend Eric would talk about like how stressed out he was about doing idea extraction, which was one of the main things we learned how to do. Was where you go in and you talk to a business owner and you ask them about their most painful problems in their business, and you ask them how they're trying to solve it now, and if how well that's working, and how painful this problem is to them, and if they don't solve it, what will happen, and if they could have any solution in the world and wave a magic wand and have a solution, what would that solution be, and how much would they be willing to pay for it? And if you ask those 5 or 6 questions, you'll have a product that they will be willing to pay for and the map of how to build it, and you could pitch it to them then. and you can ask them also if they have any other friends who would like to be interested in the similar product, or who they think would be. And if you get a group of them, then you know you've got a solid product, and you can pre-sell to them before you even build it. And he was talking about, my friend Eric was talking about how anxious he was around this process. And so I sat down and I asked him some questions about how he was feeling about it, like when he was in that situation, if he closed his eyes, like where in his body did he feel the tear, and like what did it feel like, where was it, and he would explain like it felt like a blue circle in his stomach. And I'd ask him a question like, if that circle had a voice, what would it say? And then he would say what it was, and then it would release somehow or something like that, which was something that I was not really trained to do. I kind of just did that intuitively after having seen, I think, Dane do something similar with somebody, but not quite the same. I was like picking up on this nuanced way of communicating with people on an energetic level as well as a physical level to help them change the underlying structure of what was holding them in place. I don't really know how or why or where that happened, but I noticed he relaxed and he was able to go, and now he owns like a really successful cold calling business, and he would have anyway. He's a phenomenal guy, but like I saw him relax from that, and so then I felt more valued and like a contribution to the group. And I also started doing a lot of idea extraction on people in my life, like my family and friends and like coworkers and just random people I met in the grocery store, and started to realize like the world is full of opportunities for making a business. So no matter where you're at, like if you've got a person in your life, then they've got a pain in their ass that you can solve.
Well, so it sounds like your early interactions were very productive for you because they gave you some marketing research structure, which I would fully endorse what Dane was recommending. Engage with an owner, agitate the problem, find out where the problem is, agitate the problem, help them envision what the solution might be worth, and then give them the solution. And now you have people you could actually pitch a solution that you know exactly what they want. So it sounds like I think Dane probably knows me because I teach some advanced marketing research I'm not sure that you know about. And then you really woke up this creative, problem-solving, intuitive, almost energetic part of yourself to help people work through their roadblocks. And so you discovered what every young entrepreneur has to discover, is that entrepreneurs are problem solvers, and you started solving problems.
Yeah.
So how did that turn into you spending a month with Dane?
Okay, so sweet. So there was an upcoming event for the foundation where all these people that I was starting to interact with, like Eric Finnegan was one of those people, but I met like a lady from Japan who was in the foundation, and I've always been really fascinated with like Japanese culture and stuff. So I was like building a network of amazing entrepreneurs in my life. And then they told us that there's an event coming to Mexico, and we can all go there and meet, and there's going to be speakers, and Dane and Andy will be there, and it was going to be awesome. I was like, oh, I have to go to this. Like the program is it's only like $1,000 to go to Mexico, and like Dane paid $5,000 for me to join this program, so like why would I not do that? So I was a massage therapist at the time, so I sold some massage packages to my family, to get some money to go, and I went. And my mom was like, "You can't go to Mexico without me," so she bought her own ticket and she came with me. So we went to Mexico, and in Mexico, it was phenomenal days of connecting with amazing people every day. Like, imagine you walk out your door and like there's 200 entrepreneurs in like every direction you go, and there's also like good food everywhere and like a beach that you can hang out at, and I was just loving it. And I would sit down with people and I would ask them questions, and I would ask them about their problems, and I would ask them about their businesses. And also, when I first got there, I saw Dane there, and he recognized me, and he's like, "Daniel Postma." He was like, "I'm so glad you could make it," and he gave me a hug. And that was like an amazing 3 days. It kind of felt like I was on a high. And when I came back from Mexico, I went to my house, and I felt like a crash, like whatever the opposite of a high is. Like I felt like disconnected from the world, like the contrast was crazy. So okay, go ahead. Did you have a question?
I was just going to say that that's a natural part of the seminar process, which I try to prepare people for if I conduct a seminar, because when you go to that kind of a seminar, it's an idealized world. You have an immersion with people who are generally positive and interested in problem solving and excited about, pursuing their own passions and solving the problems for the world that they really want to solve. And it almost seems like heaven. It's like a little slice of heaven. Mm-hmm. And then when you go home, you go back and you deal with, have to deal with answering machines and traffic and, people putting you on hold and a general sense of negativity. And it's only natural that you feel the contrast and there's a big crash. So what you went through was perfectly normal.
Yeah.
And I like what I like to do if I run a really intensive seminar is to, especially if it's psychologically oriented in any way, is I like to have a follow-up a few days after and then a week after that if possible, so that people feel like they have a touch point and we can kind of ease them back into the real world.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I didn't have a touch point, but I had to create my own because I was pretty miserable. So I reached out to some of the people that were at that group, that were at the event on Facebook, and I was like, I really need to have some good conversations. And this girl named Alexandra Cavucci, she agreed to talk with me, and we got on Skype, and she was like, I've just been sitting around in my pajamas watching Property Brothers since we got back from that trip, so I'm in the same boat as you. And it was just such a refreshing experience talking to her. It was like, I don't have to have my barriers up. I don't have to be anxious and not fighting traffic right now. Like, there's no answering machines. I was like, wouldn't it be amazing, Alexander, if people could just have a conversation like this every day? And that kind of sparked an idea that we had then to create a group where that was possible, and we didn't exactly know how that would work. But the next day, we actually had a webinar again with Dane. It was like a Wednesday, and he was talking about the 4 levels of marketing. And one of the things he said was the fastest way to upgrade your marketing level was to be able to be vulnerable in a community that didn't judge you and that supported you, because that improves your confidence, and that would increase your marketing capacities. And so me and Alexandra and this other girl named Grace from New Zealand, who has the most amazing accent I've ever heard, got together and decided to create a vulnerability 7-day challenge group on Facebook. And 27 people signed up to join us, and it was crazy, a lot of fun. It was like that was like the next level of leadership for me, because now I was like part of creating something a little bit bigger than myself and bigger than just leading a small group of people. We were like coordinating this whole challenge. And day 4 of that challenge, we came up with the idea to do something to get rejected. And so I opened up Skype, just clicked on Skype, typed in Dane Maxwell's name, and I typed in, "Hey, can I come watch you work for 30 days?" Enter.
And
2 days later, of like me sweating and like not knowing if he saw the message or would even read it, and like me like lying on the couch, like what is the world? He typed, and he said, "I'm interested, yes." He said, "What would you pay or provide in return?" And at that point, I was like sweating. Like I'm pretty sure, like turned on the recorder on my computer. I was like, Dane Maxwell just said that he would be interested in having me come. Like sweat is pouring down my armpits right now. Like I don't know what is the world. Like, and then I ended the recording. I don't think I've ever shared that with anyone.
that's fabulous. All because you had this idea that it would be good for you to be willing to be rejected.
Yeah.
And what happened?
I didn't really know what I could pay or provide in return. I asked him if he had any painful problems I could help solve, and he said, "I don't have any problems that you can solve." And they said, "Well, wait, maybe I do, but I don't want to think about it." And he said, "Just make it really easy for me to say yes." And I said, "Okay, I'll give you $1,500, and I'll give you and your friends free massages while I'm there, because I'm a massage therapist." And he was like, "I think getting a massage from you would be really awkward." Anyway, I had like only $700 in my bank account, and he's like, "Come in 14 days on like July 15th." And I was like, "What in the world? 14 days? That's like no time at all." Or, like I was thinking of this as like some time way off in the future, and he was like,
Right.
"Yeah, come in 2 weeks." So I didn't tell my parents that I was going until the day before, and I was like I was like booking my flight, and I was like, "Dad, I'm going to California," and my dad's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna take a bus to down 4 hours down to Grand Rapids and then take a plane." He's like, "No, I'll just drive you." So my dad drove me down to Grand Rapids. I got on the plane and I went, and then when I got there, I had like $300 in my wallet, and I was like, I didn't have $1,500 to pay Dane, and I didn't know how to explain that to him. But anyway, I got there. Yeah.
You didn't have the money.
I didn't have the money, but I went anyway.
Nice.
And what happened, Dan?
What happened then? I got there, and like I felt like a dream world, like I was like walking through a movie. Like I was like in California, and his assistant came and picked me up, and she's like this fiery Latino woman who's like in her 40s or 50s, and she was so funny. And she gave me vitamin water, which is like one of my favorite beverages. And she was telling me that since she started working for Dane as an assistant, as I was asking her questions, this is another lesson I would give everybody, is just ask a lot of questions. Be curious about people, because it helps you build connections. And Dane's assistant is an amazing lady, and nobody is don't judge people based on their job position. If someone's an assistant, or whether they're a worker on the street or sweeping poop off an island covered in horses, like they have an interesting story to share, and they're worth talking to. And be curious about people and ask questions. Especially
the people that are sweeping poop.
Especially, exactly. I actually know somebody specifically that I was thinking of when I said that, so that's why I said that. Gosh. Yeah, so I got to his place, and one thing was like while we were driving there, he texted Diana, which was his assistant's name. He was like, he's like, when Daniel comes in, like, tell him not to interrupt me. I'm really in flow. I'm working on something right now. He's like, tell him I love him, but like, just not to interrupt me until I'm ready. And so Diana's like, yeah, you can just explore the house or whatever while he's finishing. So we get to the house. I walk up the stairs. It's basically got like a 270-degree view of like mountains on one side and the ocean on the other. And I'm like, where in the world am I? I'm like walking up the stairs, and I look in the window and I see Dane like sitting, like looking out towards the ocean with his Mac laptop, and he's like barefoot. And I'm like, wow, like it was like a really surreal moment for me. And I walk in, and the first thing I see on the left is a sign that says something like, I wish I could think of the quote right now, but it was about God, and it was like, take a deep breath, like God's got your back. But that wasn't it exactly, but it was like I realized in that moment, like God had been directing my steps every moment up till there, and gave me a chance to relax and like, okay, everything's gonna be okay here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so that was really awesome.
Well, so you're what I know about this so far from your description is that you were a guy who says yes. For some reason, you kind of get in your head what you want to do. You do proactive things to try to make things happen, and then when things happen which you didn't really expect to happen, you say, "Okay."
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. Well, that's how you make life happen, right? That's how you make life happen. So,
Yeah.
so tell us, just in the interest of time, tell us some of the key highlights of. I don't know if we're going to be able to go through step by step, but some of the highlights of what happened in the time with him there.
Yeah, so in the time with him there, I got to go to a billionaire's house and listen to Dane and him talk about building a solar company, but I didn't really relate with them, so I played with the baby on the floor. I had my first experience trying hot yoga, which is really interesting. You sweat a lot. I watched him talk with some people who were building businesses in Brazil where they were like making $1 million company by manipulating the government into allowing their product to be sold there, which wasn't allowed to be sold there, but it was good for helping kids with like not ADHD, but not fetal alcohol syndrome either. Anyway, I went to a men's group of like a bunch of millionaire dudes, and I yelled at them all.
You yelled at them?
Yeah, we were supposed to be practicing being vulnerable, and I was really angry at them, so I just, I yelled at them.
What did you yell? What did you say?
I was like, okay, first of all, you said that you feel like your life is all together and like, and you're in a perfect place right now, and that sounds like total crap to me because the whole time you've been talking, you sound like you're in your head and like you can't even access an emotion in your body, and you're like trying to lead this group. I later found out that guy was like a multi-million dollar guy who was like running a company in Brazil.
How did he respond?
Everyone's like, "Wow, you're really good at this, Daniel." It was so funny. He's like, "I wish I could access my emotions like you can." I was like, "What in the world?"
What a great experience.
It was, and I still laugh about it to this day.
What else happened while you were there?
Oh, Dane fell in love with like a 20-year-old girl, and which ended up being not a great relationship. I mean, it was a great relationship, but they've ended it since then. And so I watched him fall in love with a girl that was way too young for him. What else happened? A lot of things happened. I got to eat really good food. I got to go swimming in the ocean. A lot of this is written in the book as well. So if anyone wants to check that out, like...
Sure. We'll make sure they go to How to Shadow a Multimillionaire. 30. No, I can't remember the title.
Yeah, Shadowing the funny thing about that title was like I wanted to name the book like Thug Life with Dane Maxwell or something like that. But he was like, no, don't name it that, and he just gave me that title. So I just laughed.
He gave you a better name because it's benefit oriented.
Exactly.
It was Shadowing a Multimillionaire for 30 Days. Everything I Learned, right?
Yeah, this is everything I learned.
Yeah. What are the things that you learned which you think would be relevant to most entrepreneurs? If you kind of abstract what you took away and how it all changed you. I know there's several other kind of crisis points in your time there, including when you figured out that you didn't have the money. But what else do you feel like you took away from the experience that affects who you are as an entrepreneur now?
Wow. Probably the biggest thing is that I could let anyone know is that you are valuable. You're a valuable contribution. And I didn't realize my value as a person until I went on that trip. And that there was actually a moment where Dane told me that me being there had helped him access more of his heart, and that he wouldn't be the person he was if I hadn't been there. And up to that point, I didn't I kind of felt kind of worthless in the way that like anytime somebody asked me to do something, I would jump and do it as fast as I possibly could because like I didn't want to mess up or be annoying or something like that. So I did not feel comfortable in my body and like being in my own skin. So I would just really want people to know that they are valuable and that they're valued by people, and that they can be valued by people that they even see as super successful. Because once you know that, then you don't have to jump like at every opportunity like a scared little kid, and it was like the kind of thing like when your mom asks you to do the dishes and you hear her saying it before she even says it, so she doesn't get mad at you for responding. Like it was like that kind of like impulse reaction. I was like living my life in fear. But when I knew I was valued, that changed a lot for me, and it gave me a space to be myself.
So recognize that you've got a value to offer. Engage life by the balls. Grab life by the balls, and engage with people.
Yeah.
And
Even if they're go on, Yo. I'm sorry.
And don't be afraid of rejection.
Yeah, you can be afraid, but do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the other day we were doing, Yoav and I run a little coaching group called Alpha Wolf Den, and at alphawolfden.com. And the other day someone asked us what was the difference between failure and success with entrepreneurs. And so it caused me to, it's a very general question, but there was nobody that was presenting a particular business issue for the day, so it caused me to really reflect psychologically. And this was a guy who was feeling a little bit nervous about engaging and grabbing life by the balls and doing the things he needed to do to connect with the people who would eventually give him money, right? Because if you're going to make $1 million, that $1 million is going to come from other people, which means you're going to have to engage and connect with other people. And so I told him, you know, people are used to seeing me present. They know I've had a long list of accomplishments. They know I've made a lot of money over the years. Not that I've kept it all, by the way. And I said, well, to tell you the truth, I'm nervous right now. I'm always nervous when I'm presenting. I've trained myself to have a soft and soothing voice. I've trained myself that feelings aren't facts, that just because I'm nervous that people are going to reject me, it doesn't mean that they will, or that it really matters if they do. Although I have to say it still matters to me. It still does matter to me. I try to let go of the outcome and just do my best, but it does matter to me. But I don't know that nervousness ever goes away. I think that the physiological experience of anxiety is very similar to the physiological experience of excitement. And so I just try to reframe it. I try to say, well, I'm excited. I'm excited about what we're talking about. And I know that if I sit in my room and I don't talk to people and I don't stand up and accept responsibility for who I am and what I have to contribute and say, yes, I'm a valuable person, and I not only can I help you, but I want to help you. And I'm here for you, like I'm present, then nothing happens. My life gets smaller and I just shrivel up, right? So I'm always nervous, but I always do it. I always do it. And I think that's the lesson I wish I learned that when I was 19 years old, 20 years old.
Oh, man. And I wanted to share 2 more quotes that I actually learned from another mentor of mine named Blossom Benedict, who teaches a course called Right Voice for You, which is like how to be you in the world. And one of the things she said was, what can you handle? It's a question she asked, actually, which is like, what can you handle that you don't think you can handle? Because a lot of people think like nervousness, like they can't handle it, but you actually can. And that's, when you get that, you can handle a lot more than you think you can handle, then you can handle it.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we were talking about before. But that's a great way to prompt the idea, and I think I'm actually going to journal about that for a little while, because I haven't thought about that in a long time. What can you handle that you don't think you can handle? What can you handle that you don't think you can handle?
You think you can't handle, yeah. And the other thing she said was, you don't know what's going to happen when you become the person who asks the question, even when the answer is no.
Oh, say more about that.
So that's kind of the same thing I was saying with earlier about like getting rejected. But if you are willing to ask someone for something, even if they're going to say no, you don't know, because you think, oh, even if you know that someone's going to say no, like I knew Jane wasn't going to let me come to California, quote unquote, I knew. But you don't know what can happen when you become the person who asks the question, even when the answer is no. Like I asked that question and it changed every aspect of my life. And Yeah.
Go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, who could you ask for something today, or who have you been like hiding from that you could ask a question, even if the answer is no, that would change the rest of your life, regardless of whether they said yes or no. Like even if you ask the question and someone says no, you still ask the question, and like it takes balls to ask a question like that.
Because regardless of what the answer is, when you ask the question, what you're really saying is, I would like to have more of a relationship with you. And positive people, if they can't say yes to the particular way you're asking for the relationship, will find a creative way to facilitate that relationship in a different way. Maybe this is not exactly what you asked for, but you know what, I would like to have more of a relationship with you, and this is how we can do it.
Yeah, totally.
Just to build on that, the discussion is fascinating. I've got two things to add to that. One is that as I was listening to you guys talking, I thought that becoming an entrepreneur is actually a large part of it is becoming a rejection expert. Because, because I raised a lot of money in financing. When you go out and you ask people for money, for a lot of money, you get a lot of rejection. But two things happen. You get desensitized to the rejection. When you just start out, the few times I went and pitched investors, like everything was very high. The adrenaline was high. I was very nervous. I could hear my blood at my temples. But after a while, that sensation goes away, and then you start listening to the conversation. You hear the objections. You see the facial expressions. You get more comfortable being in that spot of rejection, and you start to learn until you understand what you need to do to solve the problem. And they served me well with getting investments. It served me well with selling stuff. So really, being an entrepreneur is being an expert at rejection.
Being a rejection engineer, is that what you said? What did you call it before?
A rejection expert.
A rejection expert, okay.
Yeah.
A rejectspert.
Trademark.
Go run and grab that. That's great. Well, see, Daniel, you provided value by facilitating a conversation where we had that insight.
Yay!
The rejection.
Oh gosh! Yesterday, also, I wanted to share something about rejection. I was at Dane's recording studio, and he was playing music, and it was just me and his producer in a room together, listening to him playing in the other room, and I didn't feel comfortable, and I actually asked the producer if I could have a hug, and I've never hugged him before, but I've known him for like maybe a couple months now. And I just said it. I said, "Hey, can I give you a hug?" And he said, "No." But I just sat there in silence, and he was like, "Oh, okay." And the only reason I wanted to share that, he's like, "Just for you, Daniel." He's like, "I'm going to break my no touching rule just for you." Oh, I wanted to share that because sitting in silence after asking a question changes something too. Just because something says no, like, 10 seconds later, the answer might still not be no if you are willing to sit in the discomfort of rejection.
What a great story. What a great story. What else came out of all the rejection experiments that you did in that group that you started? I know it's a little off topic, but what else?
What else came out for me or for other people, or for
you and other people? Yeah. What did you learn?
Yeah, that's funny. The only thing I can think of when you said that was Dane asked me when I was in California, like, he asked me a similar question, like, what did other people get out of that rejection challenge, or what did they try to doing? I was like, well, somebody asked for like a 10% off discount on their coffee at Starbucks, and he's like, what a lousy request.
It's too small? It was too small, is that why?
Yeah, so, yeah, I just would like to say, like, ask for big things.
Yes. If you want big things, ask for big things. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, dream big. Yeah. Are there other insights that you got from your time with Dane?
Oh, no. Just kidding.
That's funny. Well, tell me what happened when he figured out you didn't have the money then.
Okay, so he figured out I didn't like. He asked me, "Hey Daniel, let's run your credit card or whatever." And I had my dad's credit card with me. Like my dad, like so I called my dad and I asked my dad if I could run it. He's like, $1,500? Like, no way, you're crazy. He's like, don't. He's like, I gave that to you in case you like had an emergency and like needed to buy a pair of pants or something. Like, you're not going to spend $1,500 of my money. So I was like, okay, so my parents are going to help me out of this. So I was like, Dane, I have $300. I can give you $300. That's all I have. Like, I honestly don't have $1,500. I'm really sorry. Like, I lied to you. He's like, you offered me $1,500 when you didn't have it. And like, I could see him getting angry for about 2 or 3 seconds, and then he like calmed down. And he was like, okay, we'll find another way for you to provide $1,500 of value. Like, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. And then, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Like 2 or 3 days later, though, he came up to me. He's like, Daniel, I don't think this is going to work anymore. Like, we've been here for like 5 days now, and it's been really intensive for me. He's like, I want to go all in until Friday, and then you're going to have to go home. And I was like, there was a moment where I said, you know, I didn't really care if it was only 10 minutes or if it was 30 days. Like, I just wanted to get a chance to get to know you, and I'm so grateful to be here. And I started to cry, and he cried too. And he's like, you know, you have to put this in the book. Because at this point, we already decided I was going to be writing a book about this experience. He's like, you said that, and we both cried here. So I wrote that in.
And so everything was okay about the money after that?
Yeah, and it was, we decided that we were just going to split the book royalties 50-50. And whatever happened from that then on, like, he said, we'll just call it even. So that's what we're doing now, and it still hasn't paid itself off yet, but.
Well, maybe after this interview, you'll make 1 million sales.
Yeah, that would be really nice. Everybody just go buy my book. Actually though, somebody who read my book joined the foundation, so I kind of helped close a $5,000 lead once.
There you go.
So.
There you go.
I'm not
there
totally
you go.
useless.
No, 3 times the investment. That's nice.
I don't think I told Dania about that though.
Well, you might want to hint at it so that he knows at some point. It's one of the things I learned as a psychologist was that there was nobody in the room behind me saying, hey, this guy's really good. This guy helps you with this guy helps you with that, this guy helps you with that. And I found that to keep my patients in treatment until they actually accomplish their goals or resolve their symptoms, that they had to be constantly resold on what the treatment was doing for them. Because in the absence of reselling people, the natural inclination is to say, what has this guy done for me lately, and how do I save some money? Because it costs, relationships can cost time and money. They're not just things that give to you. And so people, I guess the best way to say this is that I learned that it was okay to be my own cheerleader in certain situations. It's better if you got that guy behind you saying it. It's better if you let them say it for you, as Dan Kennedy might say, because people tend to believe other people about you more so than they believe you about you. But when you have evidence like you're talking about, if you can find a way to, hint to people or kind of remind them about the value you did provide, it makes them invest in the relationship more. And that was a big part of the success of my psychology practice, was because I didn't do what most psychologists did and just let people naturally drift away. I kept reselling on them what we'd actually accomplish and what I'd provided.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's great advice. We actually do that with the reviews for your book, Glenn.
Say more.
We have a mechanism in Glenn's book that helps him get, I think it's 800% more or 10 times more, 1,000% more reviews than the competitors. We ask for the review, but before we ask for the review, we remind them what we did for them. So we tell them something like, we help you. I'm an expert with binge eating, and I hope my advice helped you in some way, but I'm just starting out as an author, so I need a lot of reviews to get the word out. If you could jump onto my book page and write a review, good or bad, that would be awesome. I think that's the entire email. Like that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we get a lot more reviews, a lot more.
473 with an average of 4.5 stars as of this morning.
Oh, that's a good book. I started reading Binge Eating.
Never binge again, isn't it?
Never binge again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, before we finish today, what are you doing now? What's your current project?
I'm working on a couple things at once. Right now, I'm shadowing Dane again, only for his music career, and I'm going to be writing a follow-up book to my first book, but it's looking at music instead of business and how the patterns apply in different ways, and that's kind of cool. I'm also I'm a massage therapist right now, and I'm actually writing a book about how massage therapy can actually help you to create a sustainable life for your muscles. A lot of people end up going and having to do a lot of expensive surgeries, and massage therapy can in some ways reduce the need for surgeries and make your life a lot easier. And so I wanted to write a book about that as well. And I'm also a massage therapist, so if you're over in St. Ignace, Michigan, that's where my spa is that I'm working at most of the time these days. So if you want to get a session, you could always drive up to St. Ignace.
St. Ignace?
Yep. Maybe if you've heard of Mackinac Island, it's pretty close to that.
Daniel, our audience are, by the way, I think that's really interesting that you've got a book about preventative care with massage therapy. That's really interesting. And I really believe that. I'm a big consumer of massage therapy, and some of it's preventative. A lot of it is palliative because of what I've been through. I had a car accident. But I think that's really interesting what you're saying. If our audience could do anything for you, what kind of connections do you need? Who do you want to hear from? And how should they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so if you're an inspiring person and you'd like to have me in any capacity in your life, I'd love for you to reach out to me on Facebook. And I like having playful conversations, which is kind of how I got to know Glenn. And especially if you like to create things, like if you create silly videos or if you create, like you have a spunky personality in the world, I like to know people like that. So if you would like to reach out to me, it would be fun to see what you've created, and maybe we can work on projects in the future as well.
Okay. And they just look up Daniel Postma on Facebook?
Yeah. That's our way. Let's see. Yeah. Can we just give them the URL?
Sure, if you want to.
Okay. Do you want me to say it out loud, or do you want me to just give it to you later?
Yes, just before you know, I want you to know that there are 20,000 people that listen to this.
20,000? Gosh, that's a lot.
Which probably means you might get 50 or 60 contact requests.
Okay, that's fine. That would be awesome. I love friends.
Well, you need to give the URL then.
Okay. I'm looking it up right now because I don't know. I think it's facebook.com/Daniel the Game Maker.
Daniel the Game Maker.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Is there anything else that we should have asked you that we didn't, or that you want to say that you didn't have a chance to?
Yeah, just like when you said you weren't really sure how we met, I remember I heard about you first in Ryan Levesque's book in the introduction.
Oh.
And the first time I saw anything you wrote was when you were reaching out for help about your severe back problems after your car accident, and you weren't able to use your standing desk correctly, or whatever desk you were using was super painful. And so then I was like trying to reach out and give you and your wife ideas of things that you guys could do. And then I found you on Facebook, and then I started seeing your hilarious posts, and I thought, man, this guy's funny.
Well, I'm glad you did. I'm really glad you did. You've enriched my life with your insights and your humor and your book and your spirit. You've got a fabulous entrepreneurial spirit. I think you're a kid to watch. And if there's any way that Yoav or I can help you, I hope you'll reach out and let us know. And in the meantime, I'll just look forward to seeing your hilarious posts, and we'll stay in touch.
All right, thanks, Glenn.
Okay. So Daniel the Game Maker on Facebook, and you can get all of them there. You have anything else you want to say before we wind down?
Yeah, and the book is Shadowing a Multi-Millionaire for 30 Days. This is everything I learned on Amazon. Go buy it now.
Thanks for your time and attention. For more information about the products and services we offer to help dramatically grow your business, please visit thecustomermachine.com. On behalf of Glenn and Yoav, thanks for listening.